Happy Independence, Jamaica. It's August 6th, and today we celebrate our 60th anniversary of independence from British colonial rule. Celebrations are being held under the theme, Reigniting a Nation for Greatness. I'm Adrian Atkinson, so happy you're here with us for this special edition of Jamaica Magazine. Sit back and relax as we reflect on this significant moment in our history and hear from our leaders of today. We roll along with the independence message from Governor General Sir Patrick Allen.
My fellow Jamaicans at home and in the diaspora, this 60th anniversary of our independence today marks a very special milestone for Jamaica. It provides an ideal opportunity for us to reflect on our journey as a nation and aspire to a future of even greater success for generations to come. The first raising of the black, green and gold flag of our newly independent country was for us a new day of hope in our history. I am proud and honored to be part of this bold and resilient nation. In reflecting on our 6 decades of self-governance and national development, we have many achievements in our short history of which we should be proud. We have a stable democracy that has allowed us to transfer power successfully when the people wish, from one political party to another without any coup. We have upheld the rule of law and rejected injustice and abuse. We have respected, embraced, and followed the Constitution, which was carefully crafted by our forefathers. We have made outstanding contributions to the visual and performing arts, culture, sports, education, tourism, medicine, research and development, science and technology, international relations, global peace initiatives, advocacy on behalf of developing countries, and human rights. Our young people, the future of our sovereignty, are leading within the halls of our development and in existing industries, while building new ones to adapt to the challenges and demands of the changing times. They, as the custodians of Jamaica's growing legacy, should be given space to collaborate, learn, celebrate, and be celebrated. As we bask in the glow of this Diamond Jubilee, there remains the shadow of pandemics, social inequities, economic turmoil, and escalating crime and violence that have threatened our very being. We cannot allow the life of our nation to be drained, as that would sink us into despair and lawlessness. Just as our foreparents showed admirable tenacity and courage, we too should be courageous and come together as one nation under God, united in our shared goal of making our country a successful nation. Our theme for this celebration inspires us to ignite the values that guarantee success. Among them, honesty, integrity, trust, kindness, respect for each other, and respect for life. Jamaica is poised now more than ever to actualize the dreams and hopes of our forefathers who fought for our emancipation and political independence. Our people are now more mature and responsive to the challenges, so solid faith in our nation should strengthen the foundations as we move forward. In continuing our journey, we are capable of using what is right with Jamaica to fix what is wrong and be the best of what we can be. Our first national hero, the Right Excellent Marcus Garvey, stressed the point to us, and I quote, We have a beautiful history, and we shall create another in the future that will astonish the world. End of quote. Let us all rise to the challenge and play our part to advance Jamaica and by extension, the whole human race. I encourage everyone to embrace the Jubilee call to action in reigniting a nation for greatness. I wish for everyone a happy independence. God bless you and bless Jamaica, land we love.
On our roads, remember, take time, be courteous, drive good, walk good. Don't drink alcohol and drive. Don't drive tired or sleepy. Don't tailgate and don't overtake unless it is safe to do so. And always drive at a speed which will allow you time to stop quickly and safely. Let's keep it safe on our roads.
Let's now join Prime Minister Andrew Holness for his reflections on the achievements of independent Jamaica in its 60th year and an outline of plans for further development.
My fellow Jamaicans, this Independence Day is especially significant. It is our Diamond Jubilee, 60 years as an independent nation. We celebrate under the theme, Jamaica 60, Reigniting a Nation for Greatness. Now, while we cannot allow the current global crises of a pandemic, war, and inflation to dampen our mood, the government is mindful of the hardships our people are currently experiencing. Therefore, our celebrations must give hope, be meaningful, and uplifting. At 60, there must be reflection, introspection, contemplation, and prospection. As leaders, have we been good stewards of our nation? As citizens, have we been law-abiding, productive, and creative? As a nation, have we been doing our part to advance the welfare of the whole human race? What will be our story in the next 60 years? We reflect on the unfurling of the black, green, and gold on August 6, 1962. A glorious time it must have been, filled with high hopes and great expectations. The culmination of over 450 years of struggle from enslavement to emancipation to nationhood. As we began to chart our course on the journey as an independent nation, we would meet with many successes and nationally fulfilling moments. Still, we would also encounter real challenges on our journey. As we contemplate our journey, we must come to grips with our pathway. We are a small island, an open economy, geographically at risk of natural disasters. Our history is one of struggle to secure rights and social justice, particularly for labor and land. Generally, throughout our history, our economy has never been diverse enough to absorb all our labor with meaningful wages. And we have not been resilient enough to recover quickly from shocks. Now, politically, we have made significant progress in developing the framework to address our social issues. There's no question that we have a robust political class that can generate policies and a solid civil bureaucracy to implement them efficiently. The challenge has always been to develop an economy that can support and sustain our social development ambitions while withstanding shocks. In retrospect, it is true that as Jamaicans, we have not always made the connection between our economic and political choices. For decades, we have made political decisions inconsistent with good economic thinking, which have had disastrous social consequences. The perfect example is the buildup of the national debt over several decades. Certainly, external events such as global recessions and natural disasters would have pushed governments to borrow. Notwithstanding, we have created crises of our own, like FinSac, or allowing inefficiently run state entities to continue without intervention, which has driven up the national debt. The most outstanding achievement of our nation in the last decade would be the political consensus around sustainable fiscal management and debt reduction across various administrations. This achievement started in 2010 with the Fiscal Responsibility Framework, enshrined in law with the Fiscal Rules Amendments in 2014 to the FAA and PBMA Acts. The fiscal rules essentially bind the government by law to arrange revenues and expenditures to bring down and maintain the national debt at no more than 60% of GDP. In 2021, this administration went even further, strengthening our sustainable fiscal management by passing legislation to create an independent fiscal commission to complement the passage of legislation to create an independent central bank. This framework will effectively insulate our fiscal management from the vagaries of exploitative and opportunistic political forces who want to spend without regard to the effects of high debt. I know and understand that many of our citizens at the moment may not immediately feel or appreciate the benefit of sustainable fiscal management of the economy and may be prone to support irresponsible run-with-it policies. However, we only need to look back 2 decades ago to see the impact of run-with-it policies. As we introspect on our past, we can all agree that short-sighted policies may offer short-term relief, but end up hurting the poor the most with long-term pain. Let us reject this kind of thinking and not make the same past mistakes. When we look back at this time, decades from now, we will be able to say that Jamaica achieved a significant milestone in our development and a turning point in our economy. Already we see the effects in the economy's resilience. Unemployment is at its lowest level in our history, and investments in infrastructure are increasing. As we celebrate our 60th year of independence, I know that many Jamaicans are deeply disturbed by the high levels of violence and disorder in our domestic and public interactions. Security and public safety, law enforcement, and public order are priority concerns for Jamaicans. Our society has changed much faster than the legislative framework necessary to preserve social order. At the time of our independence, we did not contemplate the levels of access to weapons and the rampant use of violence and offenses against the person. We did not foresee drugs and human trafficking, cyber crimes and scamming, or the pervasiveness of criminal gangs on an enterprise scale. Nevertheless, these problems did not emerge only in the last decade. They have been present and growing significantly in the last 30 years. This administration is developing a series of new legislation to address the social order issues. The new road traffic regulations will be passed and come into effect this year. These new regulations will go far in bringing order to our roads. The new scheme for effectively dealing with the proliferation, trade, and use of firearms is now in Parliament and will come into effect this year. This new legislation will change the risk-reward factor by significantly increasing the penalty for possession and use of illegal firearms. We will have a slate of new protections for our people, starting with a new Bail Act, an Enhanced Security Measures Act, and a revised Zone of Special Operations Act. We will also review the Offenses Against a Person Act, the Sexual Offenses Act, and the Domestic Violence Act. All these will create a robust and modern framework relevant to the issues at hand to secure social order. The eternal struggle for land and shelter ownership is a point of contemplation as we consider 60 years of independence. Your government has committed to creating 70,000 new housing solutions for first-time homeowners. In the last 7 years, we have more than doubled the housing units brought to market. However, we recognize that the actual unfulfilled demand is for housing units at a price point that low-income earners can afford. Several supply-side issues have historically prevented the NHD from effectively addressing this housing market segment. However, I am pleased to report that we have redirected the NHD and the Housing Agency of Jamaica to focus almost exclusively all their efforts on affordable housing. Though our timelines have been affected by the pandemic, the NHD now has approximately 43,000 housing solutions on its books in various stages, from land acquisition to construction. When this period of our history is examined, it will be concluded that this was the era when we built the most affordable homes for Jamaicans. We cannot be prospective about our independence without talking about education, especially given the high levels of learning loss due to the pandemic. We now have the report of the Education Transformation Commission, and an oversight committee has been put in place to monitor the implementation of accepted recommendations. We cannot transform Jamaica without transforming the minds of our people, and the education system is key to this. The education sector is close to my heart, and I will ensure that the resources are in place to support these plans. Now, we have had major independence anniversary celebrations before. They felt good in the moment, but there were not many legacies to mark as milestones. We have already listed several milestone achievements which we will start or complete this year. However, I am particularly pleased with the list of infrastructure projects slated for this, our 60th year. We recently broke ground for the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project. Taken together with the improvements to the Donald Sangster International Airport, this will be a lasting legacy for the northwestern parishes of the island. We have started work on the Morant Bay Urban Center. Coupled with the South Coast Highway Improvement Project, the center will be a lasting legacy to the people of the northeastern parishes. This year, we will break ground for the Resilience Park in Portmore as we prepare for Portmore to become our 15th parish. Importantly, we will break ground for our Parliament building this year as an iconic symbol of our sovereignty for generations to come. And speaking of sovereignty, we have already commenced work towards becoming a republic. Hardships there are, but the land is green and the sun shineth. God has given us the resources to overcome all our challenges. We thank the Almighty Father for guarding us with his mighty hand over the last 60 years. We pray for his continued blessing and guidance in our affairs as we look to a future of hope and prosperity. I look forward to the return of the floats and to see you again in the National Stadium for Grand Gala. Happy Independence, Jamaica. May God bless you, and may God bless beautiful Jamaica, land we love.
Was chocolate milk invented in Jamaica? Well, history has it that the first use of the term milk chocolate was for a beverage brought to London from Jamaica in 1687. The vehicle was one Sir Hans Sloane, physician to the governor of Jamaica. The story is that he was introduced to chocolate tea by slaves whom he saw drinking it. They told him that it was more delicious with milk and that the chocolate tea was also good for health. Sloane went back to England and produced milk chocolate, which later became Cadbury's. But it was not until the Swiss inventor Daniel Peter successfully combined cocoa and condensed milk in 1875 that the commercial milk chocolate bar was invented. Celebrating Jamaica 60 with pieces of our history.
Up next, leader of the opposition Mark Golding shares his thoughts on Jamaica's journey as an independent nation while calling for a recommitment to the spirit of nation building.
My fellow Jamaicans, it is a great joy as our nation comes together to celebrate the 60th anniversary of our political independence from colonial rule. As we observe this Diamond Jubilee along our journey as a nation and a people, I wish a happy Independence Day to all Jamaicans at home and abroad. It is a time to celebrate the achievements of Jamaica in a plethora of human endeavors in academia, music, the arts, education, commerce, cuisine, science, and of course, our sporting glory. This is an appropriate occasion to specifically mention our sporting prowess, our consistently high performances in world track and field. Most recently at the World Athletic Championships in Eugene, Oregon, have the world in awe. Our reggae girls have again qualified for the World Cup. And there is no doubt that the 22nd Commonwealth Games, now in progress in Birmingham, England, will see our black, green and gold flag and hear our national anthem rippling and echoing across the stadium. Over the 60 years, the Jamaican people have made our mark in global affairs and built a reputation of being little but talawa. We have much for which we must be thankful. And as Coffee wisely said in her epic song, gratitude is a must. In international diplomacy and politics, Jamaica has impressed others most when we stood up for principle, even at times when some would prefer we do otherwise. Jamaica's name should always be associated with consistent adherence to the principles of non-alignment, non-interference, self-determination, and the rule of international law, as we pursue equity and justice among all nations. These principles are the foundations of our nation's democracy. They were bequeathed to us by our heroes and heroines who remain an inspiration to our people. We should never abandon them for perceived short-term gain. But as we revel in our many glorious achievements, we should not allow Jamaica 60 to go without reflecting on the future of our country and what it will take to overcome the many adversities and challenges which confront us in our daily lives. Crime and violence, inequality, underperformance in education, as well as poverty and hunger amidst the terrible cost of living crisis, all remain deep and persistent challenges that require a great unity of purpose to overcome and improve the quality of life of all Jamaicans. We must put our people at the center of development as we launch on our 61st year and beyond. Social transformation requires investing in our people to build our capacity to compete and excel among all the nations of the world. Even after 60 years of standing on our own, there are a few out there who still believe we are not ready. It is time to cast aside such negative self-doubt and come together to achieve these outstanding aspects of our national independence. Anything less is an affront to our nationhood and sense of self. Jamaica 60 is also an opportune time to recommit to full political independence by removing the last vestiges of past colonial rule. It is time to come together to achieve the constitutional reform required to have a Jamaican as our head of state. The opposition continues to be willing and ready to work with the government to finalize the required legislation, pass it in Parliament, and put it to a vote by the people in a referendum as soon as possible. And this step is logically connected to another, which is to ensure greater access to justice for our people by embracing the Caribbean Court of Justice as our final court of appeal. There is nothing to stop this proceeding now, even as we go through the steps of becoming a republic. Let us once again demonstrate that spirit of nation building which led our forefathers and mothers to fight for our freedoms and lay the foundation for our independence. If we can achieve these final acts of political independence together, it will provide a historic example of national maturity and solidarity, and provide a strong psychological platform from which to move forward to overcome our other challenges. Let these acts of unity become a source of continuing strength and resilience for our people. I close this message by asking Almighty God to grant us foresight and fortitude as we continue on our national journey. Greatness is our destiny. We can achieve it by joining together in the common cause of building our beloved Jamaica. Enjoy your independence celebrations peacefully and safely. God bless you, and God bless Jamaica, land we love.
I show them cut it.
Talking about that, listen to this. Pen sends a message. Disaster do happens. Be prepared. The municipal corporation reminds us of hurricane, earthquake, flooding, you name it, and preparedness.
Mommy, we really have to take this thing seriously.
Mommy, where's the emergency shelters?
Samir.
Primary school, churches, community centers. Know your nearest emergency shelter. Protect your family during any natural disaster. Be prepared. Visit the ODPEM website at odpem.org.jm to find the shelter listing for your parish. Know your emergency shelters.
And this is where the curtains close for today's show. But while the celebrations continue, we remind you to be your brother's keeper. Take care on the roads, stay safe, and by all means, be at peace with each other. In the meantime, you can visit our website, jis.gov.jm, to watch more Jamaica Magazine. Until tomorrow, I am Adrian Atkinson, wishing you all a happy Independence Day on behalf of all of us here at the JIS.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.